What's up? I'm B and welcome to my channel. If you remember, a few weeks ago I did a video talking about Rachel Hollis's upcoming but now delayed Rise Live Women's Weekend Conference, where we talked about some qualms I had with things that were being offered compared to the prices and just reasons why you essentially don't need to pay as much money as you would have paid to go to this conference. And then at the end I went ahead and gave you guys some of my favorite free or reasonably priced personal development resources. And in thinking about the structure of that video, I really like the idea of, one, not only showing you a problematic thing or talking about something that is not great in my opinion or potentially should be avoided if it's not the best fit for you, but then additionally providing some alternatives, something else that you can actually take and that would be useful for you. So we're going to follow that format a bit today with Tony Robbins. He has an upcoming 4-day event. It's all virtual. It's the Unleash the Power Within event, and he's a little bit of an everything guru, kind of like Rachel Hollis, where it's like any sort of problem you may have, look to me and I've got the answer. I'll help you out. You need greens powders? You got it. You need merch? You got it. You want an online class? You got it. You want to pay me thousands of dollars for me to yell in your face about why your problem is stupid? You got it. So I'm not a big fan of Tony Robbins. I understand why he is so popular. I do believe that he is a dynamic speaker. He is very tall, so physically he is an imposing presence. I can see why it would be easy to look up to him. He has a beautiful wife. He is very successful. He's very wealthy. He is friends with celebrities. I can see why people would look at him and want to be like him. However, he is also incredibly problematic. Now, obviously, this isn't going to be about Tony's personal life. I don't know what he's like when he's just hanging out with his family or his friends, but it's pretty well known that the way he runs his business is a little bit suspect, if I had to say so myself. I know that I have done 2 videos on Tony. I'll link them up here. I am wearing the same shirt in those videos, so this is my Tony Robbins tee, I suppose, but me and Kat recently did a super in-depth series with a ton of clips and anecdotes and talking about people's personal experiences and different legal trouble he's gotten into. And SAVY Writes Books has also done videos on Tony, so it's pretty well known that there are issues in the way he runs his business. I mean, just a few off of the top of my head. Offering these live events at exorbitant prices and promising this just incredible life change if you just give him enough money. I think that that is highly irresponsible. The way that these events work, you are getting very little personal attention. It's just you paying to go into a big room filled with so many people and being energized and getting pumped up. But I am very skeptical of the real life change that can come from that. You might find value from that experience. I am not here to say whether or not somebody should or shouldn't go. I know that I would not give Tony Robbins my money. That's just me personally. But I really don't think that you can host a 4-day event with that many people and walk away with legitimate tools to change your life once you are back home. Because when you are there, you're making your game plan, you're overcoming your limiting beliefs, you're doing the fire walk and potentially burning your feet because they didn't set it up right. You're doing all those things and you feel so good and you're ready to tackle the day, your life, every problem that you've ever had is going to be gone because you went to this conference. And then you get home and reality hits. You're going to have all the same problems that you had before, and you might have some of the tools to make a positive change, but it's not a magic solution. I can see why people want to buy into that, but I really do not think it is the reality. Before we go to Tony's website for UPW Virtual, I want to read an experience that was shared by someone who actually attended one of Tony Robbins' events, and it's a little bit long. Bear with me, but I think it'll speak for itself. So this is obviously on Reddit. This post was from a year ago, but somebody asked, people who have been to Tony Robbins Unleash the Power Within, was it worth the hype? And somebody commented, no, 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 no. Okay, this is highly embarrassing and shitty to admit, but I need to share something in the hopes that it helps other people. You can judge me if you want, but I would encourage you not to. If you want to say, I knew it, then that's fine too, but I wasn't warned. With all that said, if you have ever thought of going to a Tony Robbins event or have friends or family that want to go, I urge you to have them reconsider. I woke up this morning feeling terrible. But you just went to a big motivational seminar this weekend and you seem to be really enjoying yourself, right? You came back ready to tackle the world. Right, but so wrong. What I didn't realize was that the only motivation I got was purely part of a scam on behalf of Tony Robbins. Now, some of you will be saying, duh, that it's my own fault for being so dumb and getting caught up in that, but no one really gave me much reason to question it, and I've always enjoyed self-improvement stuff on a matter of why not stay on top of your game. And if you're thinking it, you may be right that I was dumb and naive for going in the first place, but I feel completely taken advantage of, and I'm only about to dispense knowledge as best as I can. Day 1 of the seminar, I woke up at 5 a.m., go to the venue at 7:30, and got in line to register so I could get a good seat. I did, and what was fun at the time, dancing and jumping around, was also intertwined with ideas like take a massive move towards your goals. The most powerful force is momentum, and instead of saying I can't, say how can I? So when it was around 9 p.m. and I was more than ready to go because my body and mind were crashing and I said I couldn't, I dug deep and said, how can I? So I got an acai bowl and committed to another 3 hours. They were up at 5 to get ready, in line at 7:30, and at 9 p.m. they're thinking, man, I'm tired, like I want to go, but they stuck it out for another 3 hours in one day, which is a common thing that Tony does. Long days, cold room, getting you on your feet, moving around. It's just, it's a lot of sensory overload, and there may be a reason for that. So I stayed until midnight and then I said I have to go. So I left and missed the firewalk. 16.5 hours on my feet, on and off dancing, jumping, and screaming was enough for me. Day 2 was much of the same. I again left early, but this time I wasn't exhausted. Something new had taken over. I didn't recognize it at the time, but 2 days of mind-numbing yes, 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 and pushing my body and mind to its physical limits almost put me into a hypnomanic state of sorts, which if you haven't been, does feel great in the moment. It feels like you can do and accomplish anything. We're told to stay in peak state, which is kind of like a physically induced drug state, which I did. So I had boundless energy and optimism. Tony also suggested that things only change when your shoulds turn into musts. That was until I woke up the next day feeling like a million bricks had hit me. I managed to get myself out of bed and make it to day 3 for Transformation Day. I almost didn't go, but I did. Before I went in, one of the volunteers at the event stopped me and saw my face and was like, what's going on? And I said, I'm exhausted, I'm not thinking straight, and I'm worried about my house because there's a hurricane headed to New Orleans. And he told me to tell him 3 things I was grateful for and then said, see, now do you feel better? I said yes, but mainly to get him out of my face. He wasn't concerned for my safety, my mental health, or my state of mind. That should have been a clue. This is a clear example of spiritual bypassing. Well, not even spiritual bypassing, but just emotion bypassing, I guess. This person is concerned that a hurricane is going to destroy their house, and it's like, but can you name a few things that you're grateful for and maybe that'll make you feel better? I mean, the thing is, you're in a different state, you're far away from home, there's a hurricane in your town. It's probably unlikely that you're going to be able to fly home right away and, do your best to prep your house for such an event. But how is this helpful? Like, oh, don't focus on the negativity. Just be positive. Be in the right frame of mind. Like, think of good things. No, if somebody told me that, I would be like, wow, that's so scary. Are you okay? Is there anything I can do to help you? This is a volunteer who's here to help make your life better. Can we put in a game plan? Is there somebody you can call to put some sandbags up? I've never been in a hurricane. I don't know. But in Arizona, when there's a crazy monsoon, you can put sandbags around your property to help minimize water damage. So I could be completely off base, but like, can somebody help hurricane prep? Do you need to go into a room to call someone? I don't know, just like decent human being stuff, maybe? Transformation Day is kept very vague. When I looked into it further, it's widely accepted that what he's doing is putting you in a trance in an Ericksonian hypnosis. Only you don't know it. It's a lot of repeating mantras and doing stuff to an almost mind-numbing and body-numbing level. And then at one point, there is a ceremony of sorts where you're exposed to transform your limiting beliefs into empowering ones. And the experience is intense. People are screaming and crying, and it was fascinating, but felt like on some level, someone should be making sure people are okay. But I did it, and I did it 100% because I was thinking that's what was holding me back. I left feeling different, but couldn't put my finger on it. Day 4 comes, and I'm in peak state as soon as I get there. My mind is racing on one level, but clear on another, and I'm physically exhausted, but have a ton of energy. A red flag in a sentence. My feet are sore, but somehow I'm jumping for hours. The funny thing is, I know from before that you don't know and have no clue when you're manic or in psychosis. At one point they say, take massive action to your goals, and I instantly look up triathlons 6 months from now to sign up for, and I sign up for one. I keep hearing the mantras repeated over and over again, both from them and in my head. Then they do a business portion of the seminar. Now, 50% of the crowd are business owners, so they know their clientele. They talk about how all these amazing people will be at the Business Mastery Program, hosted by Tony Robbins, and that proximity is power, and tell you if you go back now to sign up, then you get half off. Without hesitation, I pop up from my seat and go back to sign up. Within 2 minutes, I put a deposit down on something that I took massive action on. I said, yes, 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 and immediately said, how can I? And I must do this. Now, this was a choice I made, but the conditions I was put in clouded my judgment beyond the typical realms of what is normal. I stayed a little while longer, but couldn't concentrate and decided to leave. The next 24 hours, I felt crazy. I do know this feeling well. The funny thing is that one of my limiting beliefs was that I felt I was always going to be defined by diagnosis and be considered at least somewhat crazy. And my new belief was, I know what I am doing. So I kept saying, I know what I am doing, over and over to myself, over and over and over. But I was breathing hard and had a massive headache and just didn't feel like myself. I didn't feel normal, but I didn't know what to do. And so I said to myself, I signed up for the seminar because I know what I'm doing, and went on with my day. But the truth is, I didn't. I don't know if everyone is susceptible to the Kool-Aid or just me, but it seems to me, in my humble opinion, that the whole point of these mantras and pushing your mind and body past its limits and getting into peak state is not to motivate you in your personal life. It's to motivate you to instantly pull out your wallet without question and say, you must, to do this. Say, yes, yes, yes. To take a massive move towards your dreams, to keep momentum going, and do that by signing up or buying one of his overpriced seminars, which are just giant advertisements for his other seminars. Because in hindsight, that's all it was in a nutshell. Was there valuable info or insight? Maybe. I wouldn't know if any of it stuck because I was so out of my mind the whole time that it was hard for anything to stick. And here's the thing. I get home and look at the receipt for the Business Mastery seminar I signed up for in the near psychosis state, and it's essentially non-refundable. I can cancel it, but I don't get my deposit back, and I have only 72 hours to write a written and signed and dated postmarked letter stating that I'm canceling it, meaning that I don't have to pay further on it, but I'm out of my deposit no matter what. I called the office and no one was available to talk, and they said they would call me back in 24 to 48 hours, which would be after the 72 allotted period. So yeah, I mean, I take responsibility for sure, but that doesn't mean what he's doing isn't with the intended purposes of putting even regular people in a hypnomanic, frenzy-induced state, so they are more apt to make unrealistic purchases and then lock them into things they shouldn't or can't afford with no real product in the end. A true snake oil salesman, and I bought the snake oil. All I can do now is tell you what he looks like and who he is so you don't buy from him, or if you're ever in a similar situation, you recognize it for what it is. This will definitely go down as one of the hardest lessons I will ever learn, so please share, tell your friends, whatever, and I understand someone else may have a totally different experience, but even if you're grounded AF, you're still at risk for being manipulated, coerced, and taken advantage of when your mind and body have been pushed past their limits. There is no saying what people will do in those states. Also, I still plan to do the triathlon out of a promise to myself. Does that sound like a healthier, productive use of your time? This is something that really does get to me and really bothers me. Everything Tony does at these events is with intention. It's not as if this person being in this sort of frenzied manic state was unintended. Like, oh gosh, like, something went wrong. You're not supposed to feel like this. Like, you're supposed to feel in control. No, it's on purpose. It's to give the audience the illusion of control, all while knowing you are putting them in this state. You are putting them in this high, keeping them in those cold rooms, long days, lots of movement, lots of chanting over and over and over again, yelling, screaming, using your body to express emotions, getting high energy and bringing people's emotions up. You are taking advantage of people who just want to make their lives better. It is something that will never not bug me, particularly because of the money aspect. Yes, you are playing on people's emotions and trying to get them to buy your product because you are a business and you would like to sell your product, and that's fine. But money is a huge pain point for so many people. You're gonna take a look at people, see that they just want more money. Like, they just want more money, and not out of anything evil or selfish, because they want it to survive. They want it to enjoy their life. They would like to do more than just pay their bills and that's it. Like, they want to live a fun and free and fulfilling life, and money is an essential part of that. So you look at people who want to make a change, who want to bring wealth and abundance into their lives or improve in general, which in many cases will mean doing something that benefits them financially, getting a better job, starting their own business, leaving a negative relationship or childhood trauma in the past that they feel is holding them back from living their most fulfilled life. And you will look at that, recognize it, and take advantage of it. Take advantage of people who just want to live a life that they enjoy. That is what bothers me so much about Tony Robbins, because you do not care, Tony, about helping the people who are coming to these events. There are so many celebrities who sing Tony's praise, and it's like, yeah, I'm sure he did help your life. I'm sure he did help you improve in your business ventures or pursuits, or just feel like a better person in general. But do I think that you're just like 1 in 15,000, like you're just a tiny little face in the crowd that he's not even paying attention to? No, I think you probably got personalized attention and coaching because you could afford to pay for it. And I'm sure that in those one-on-one settings, he can actually be like, okay, so here's the deal, like here's the secret, and he can tell you, and you can take that and run with it. But not everybody is going to get that experience. Certainly not people who go to Unleash the Power Within, like this person. It's wrong to do that, and it really just gets me. In the video I did last week about call-out culture, I included a caption from another creator where she said she looked up to men like Tony Robbins and like 2 other people, and a few of you left comments about like, well, anybody who wants to be like Tony Robbins is just not somebody I want to be like that's your problem right there. And I agree, you shouldn't want to look up to Tony Robbins, but Mac Attack left this comment being like, well, that's the problem, and it triggered a memory in me about Angie, who wrote that caption where she said she sold her car to go to her first Tony Robbins event. Okay, I mean, she also lived in Chicago. She also lived in the city where maybe she didn't necessarily need it, where there's public transportation that she could have taken, but at the same time, that's kind of her personality, where it's like, well, burn the boats, we'll figure it out later. Some people don't naturally have that personality. Some people prefer to be more of a planner. Some people want to have something in place, step by step, break it down, and be like tactical and logical in their approach. There are some people who can get away with that, who can get away with, well, I just woke up one day and quit my job and I figured it out, and they have that grit, I guess, and that motivation that they're going to succeed at all costs. And so for them, for their personality, it works. But if you have people who don't have that personality, who that might not be a great choice for, and they hear like, oh, well, this girl sold her car to go to Tony Robbins, and now she is wealthy and has an incredible life and a successful podcast and successful businesses, maybe I just do that. And they get to that point out of desperation. You can be harming a lot of people. That is something that could really cause a massive problem or massive setback in someone's life. So I get that she shared that story as motivation for people to take massive action on their dreams, but I don't think massive action has to be impulsive. I think massive action can be a little bit planned out and maybe done with a little bit more forethought than selling your car to go to an event or screaming yes, yes, yes for hours on end and then being like, yeah, I should invest in that business course. I mean, the sign-up table is right there. No, it's just so wild to me because it is completely self-serving. It is hyping people up, telling them to take risks and take chances, and don't say I can't do it. Don't limit yourself. Say, how can I? Which I totally concede. Your language and how you speak about yourself 100% impacts your own image of what you think you're capable of or how much worth you believe that you have. So language is important, but you're sitting there hyping these people up, telling them they can do anything, and by the way, go buy that course because you're gonna get more money that way. It's just ridiculous to me. Okay, enough ranting. Back to our regularly scheduled content and Tony's website for Unleash the Power Within. Unleash the Power Within Virtual. Your journey to unleashing your full potential starts at Unleash the Power Within Virtual Interactive Experience, June 3rd through the 6th, 2021. We got a little blurb here that says, you must decide right now if these difficult times, these trying times where people are dying and money is scarce and we're in the midst of a mental health and domestic violence crisis. We're in the midst of a pandemic. Are you boss enough to make it work for you? Okay. You must decide right now if these difficult times are going to define you or if you're going to take control of your own fate. You can't afford to wait for the world to go back to normal. The life you want, out of purpose, passion, and success, is out there waiting for you to take action and seize it. And if you don't, you will get left behind. Most everyone in the world is doing one of two things: trying to get by and survive, or looking around for the edge that will allow them to thrive. And Tony Robbins' Unleash the Power Within Virtual Interactive Experience is that unfair advantage to create the life you want even when the outside circumstances try to hold you back. And I'm crying because it's like, are you going to be a wimp and cower in your home and just do your best to take care of your mental health? Or are you going to get this unfair advantage by giving me thousands of dollars so I get richer and you stay the same? I needed that. I needed that laugh. Moving on though, these are unprecedented times. You've heard it over and over, but the truth is this past year has allowed Tony to create an unprecedented opportunity that he wouldn't have ever been able to offer before now. Get ready to welcome Tony Robbins himself and the unmatched power of UPW into your home. Tony's changing the world at this event. Will you be there to experience it yourself? Tony was already rich, so I'm sure he could have figured it out. But anyway, we've got, I'm not going to read it, but we've got a glowing endorsement from Conor McGregor. The same Conor McGregor who was arrested for sexual assault and indecent exposure. But yeah, let's have him sing your praises. Let's watch this promo, y'all. Maybe we'll get some life-changing infusion from this.
The day I was laid off right after the event ended, I was ready for Unleash the Power Within. 4 days that changed my life.
We're going to be the creator of our future. We're going to decide what we're going to do with whatever life has given us, and we're going to make the shifts necessary to make that happen.
I'm happy, I'm thriving, I'm kicking ass, and I'm taking names like I always have. How did I get my life back? I went back to the guiding principles that I've been living my life by for the last 20 years, which was the first time I ever picked up a book by Tony Robbins.
What really changes your body, your emotion, is a shift in identity, which means doing something different than you expect.
Changing my whole life, changing my story, changing my state, changing my focus. I got rid of the negative thoughts, snap out of them like that. Tony Robbins, Unleash the Power Within Virtual, on your TV, will change your life. I promise.
Well, we want the next few days in creating new momentum.
Okay. I want to pause real quick after that whole board breaking exercise thing, because the way that people are feeling within this event is obviously very amped up and very hype and very much like they can do anything. And it's great to feel like that. It's very good to have self-confidence and feel good about yourself. But how are you going to take this home? How are you going to get yourself in that kind of state when you're not with this group, when you're not being led by Tony for 16 hours a day? Because I will tell you, in high school, when I went to student council camp, we did an exercise very similar to this where we all broke a board. We like drew, this kind of doesn't make sense now that I think about it, but we drew like what our dream life would look like on one side of a wooden board. And then on the other side, we like drew or wrote out things that would be like holding us back from it. And it was like, destroy the things that would be holding you back. And we all broke the board. And I did it, no problem, broke that board right in half. However, if you brought a board up to me today and asked me to break it, I would most certainly hurt myself because I don't know how to do that. I don't know how to break a board. I understand the concept of how to do it, but I was scared. I didn't want to do it. I was like, man, I'm going to hurt myself doing this. But I had people around me hyping me up. I saw other people doing it, and I was like, okay, if they can do it and they've never done it before, chances are, as long as I remember all the instructions and I just go for it without hesitation, I can probably do it. So I did, but in my regular daily life, I would not be able to replicate that. So how do we replicate this hyper feeling at home alone every day?
Is be able to figure out how do we create this emotional mastery that gives you joy no matter what happens. How do you do when all hell's breaking loose and nothing's going right? How do you do when things are unjust? How you deal with those things shape your character and your destiny more than anything else. If you can take your worst experience and make it your best, then life is always a gift. That's what this weekend's about. This is you unleashed.
Oh, I thought I was going to be like, U-P-W. I was going to, but okay. This is you unleashed. Cool. All sounds fine and dandy. What do you do when you get home? This is another problem I have. It's just so broad. You got people sitting there doing breath work, doing gratitude practices, breaking boards, dancing, screaming. What are you going to do every day? What are you going to take away from this? What is the specific thing that you are going to learn that you can actually put into action in your daily life? There's no indication of the things that they're going to go over and what that would be. I mean, I know that like the essential kind of idea is crushing limiting beliefs, taking massive action, like saying yes to yourself, figuring things out, not letting bad stuff get you down. But even that is super broad. What do I do with that? What are you actually going to help me with? Because everybody's experience is different. Everybody's problems are different. The things that they're hoping for, their life experience, their skills, what their dream life looks like. We all have different stories. So according to the website, in the UPW weekend or four-day event, you're going to get the tools, strategy, and psychology that will change you. Identify and destroy the invisible enemy, master the 4-step success formula, eliminate stress and overwhelm, create unlimited natural energy in your body, overcome that stuck feeling for good, and get the unfair advantage, and much more. That's a lot to cover in 4 days. I kind of am of the belief that, yes, things can happen quickly and change. You know, there can be something that kind of triggers you in your own life that causes you to maybe work out one thing faster than you would have in the past, and you'll see more success or more results in that thing because of that change that you made. But this is all just a lot, like changing your psychology, changing your approach, destroying the invisible enemy, natural energy in your body. I'm going to assume that that includes physical movement. I don't know if it's a scientific thing, but I think so. Like when you work out regularly and when you're able to move your body regularly, your body kind of feels better and it responds to it. And so that can give you a little bit more energy. But I would also assume that it includes how you eat, your diet, any supplements that you might take, because your body needs sleep. Like you need to meet your physiological needs in order to have energy. And so I just don't know how you're supposed to create unlimited natural energy. And that just seems like setting you up for sleep deprivation and leaning more into hustle culture. So anyway, at this event, Tony's obviously going to be there. Then there are a few other featured speakers. I don't really know anything about any of these people, but looking through Reddit, Joseph McClendon III, I've heard, is very entertaining to listen to. I heard good things about him, but nothing about the other two that are here. And then as we scroll through the site, it's just more of a sales pitch. And then we get to the ticket prices. Now, tickets to Tony Robbins events are always on the higher end, so I'm not surprised looking at any of these prices. We have the UPW general admission ticket. The retail is $695. I'm assuming that's what they typically charge for the in-person event. They brought it down to $395 for virtual. Their best-selling ticket is the executive admission, $2,544. Retail, you can get it for $895. UPW Diamond admission, $7,695. But it's virtual, so you'll only pay $1,795. I cannot see myself spending this much money, even the $395 ticket, on a 4-day virtual event. I do not feel like it would be worth the investment for me. Of course, everybody has different budgets. There are things that some people would be willing to invest in and others would just think that's absolutely ridiculous. And this is coming from somebody who has paid money for in-person events, for courses, for programs, for different things related to personal development. Some of them I felt were worth the investment. Some of them weren't. But I am still willing to pay. I'm still willing to invest in things that I think are going to be good for me. So like I said, if you want to make investments in yourself, I think that's totally great. I think there are certain things that other people know better than you, but I absolutely would not pay almost $1,800 for a virtual event where I'm not going to get any sort of personalized attention. If that were me, if I were really like, if that was in my budget to spend that much money on something, I would work one-on-one with a coach or with a therapist, depending on what it is that I'm trying to get better at. Now, while I do think that these prices are too high for what you are getting, I do want to commend Tony on a few things. First and foremost, every single ticket comes with a deluxe event box that includes a UPW workbook, breakthrough board, and other event materials. Now, in the Rachel Hollis video, I kind of went off about the fact that her value ticket holders did not get a workbook and everybody else did, and they had a digital copy of the workbook that they were going to send out to people who bought tickets later, like too close to the event. Oh, we don't know if your workbook's going to get mailed there in time. Here's a digital copy. Y'all have a digital copy that you're willing to send out to other ticket holders, but not your value ticket holders. They got to write notes. I went off on it. At least every single ticket to Tony's event comes with the workbook. It comes with the breakthrough board, other event materials. No matter what level of ticket you're getting, you are going to get these materials. Like, kudos to that. That is what I would expect the bare minimum to be, but apparently it's not, Rachel. So, good for him. Additionally, with every ticket you buy, they're going to donate a certain amount of meals to Feeding America on the ticket holder's behalf, and I do think that that is really cool. I don't like Tony Robbins, but he has made it very clear that he does have a close affiliation with Feeding America, so anything that gets money to worthy organizations, I'm a fan of, no matter who it's coming from. Like, I don't care if it's Tony Robbins, donate that, because that's going to actually do something to help people, whereas your seminar might not. Oh, and finally, if you're somebody who is a very big fan of Tony's events, I'm trying to visualize the person who is maybe like a go-getter who's already successful, who likes to have these pump-up weekends or whatever. Like, I could see that. I suppose if you're a regular attendee, if you do buy the UPW Diamond admission, you get a complimentary diamond floor ticket to any U.S. in-person UPW event by December of 2022. I'm hoping that if it's still unsafe in the year 2022 to have these massive events, they would extend that. I would be a little bit wary and look for the fine print. I think that is cool because obviously if you're willing to spend that money, it makes your money go a little bit further, since it's essentially like you're buying 2 tickets to 2 separate events. So not the worst list of things included in a ticket that I've ever seen, but again, just the pricing. I would not invest. Additionally, something that I will give Tony a little bit of props for is the refund policy. You can see the whole thing down here, and if you buy it and decide before you go that you don't want to go, you cannot get a refund. You can transfer your ticket to somebody else, or they'll give you a voucher for another event. Like you don't get your money back, but if you go to the event and you go day 1, day 2 up to lunch, then at that lunch break you can then go ask for a refund and you'll get it. Not necessarily the best refund policy. I do kind of get that if you're like doing it in person or you're hosting this massive event, you want to have your numbers on lock so you know which kind of hosting platform you'll need to get, or the event space and resources, number of volunteers, stuff like that. I get that you need to have those numbers pinned down a little bit in advance so you can make sure that you're well prepared. So I understand kind of why the policy is the way it is, but at least there is an option. Whereas with Rachel Hollis, it's like all tickets are non-refundable, non-transferable. You bought it, deal with it. Now that we've gone through the experience of a previous attendee, taken a look at his website, and gotten a very general idea of what you can expect, what you would pay, what is being offered at this event, it's time for the conclusion of whether or not I would recommend you go to this event. Shockingly, no, I do not think that you need to go to Unleash the Power Within. Even in my first videos about Tony, I just said you don't need to go to his events. You really don't. If you like him and you want to hear him speak, he has a podcast, which is basically just a lot of his old tapes put on Spotify. So listen to that, get your motivation from there, but don't put Tony up on this pedestal as somebody who has all the answers. Don't think that this is guaranteed to change your life. I'm sure there are people who have gone and who have gotten good results, but I am extremely wary of anything that makes these huge promises but doesn't really have a plan to help you follow through. I really just don't think that the way Tony Robbins runs his events is the most safe or ethical way to do so, and I think he's a little bit predatory, not only in his business, but there have been numerous allegations of abuse of volunteers and bad treatment of employees, sexual assault allegations. All these things have popped up about him, so in general, I would just say probably somebody that you want to avoid. But like I said, this entire video is not going to be negative, so I want to give you just a little bit of something that you can maybe use as a guide map if you are in the beginning of your personal development journey, or even if you're not on a personal development journey, but you're trying to assess your life. Maybe you're looking for something more. Maybe you want to work on some goals and kind of figure out where to start to create a life that you really truly enjoy and makes you feel fulfilled. I'm not giving you any promises. I'm not saying this is the key to all of your problems or the answer to all of your questions, but this is a really good basic way to start. If you took any sort of child development class in high school, you've probably heard of this. If you've read about psychology, you've probably heard of this. But if you didn't do any of those things, or you haven't heard of this, you don't know what you don't know. So I'm going to take this opportunity to tell you. In 1943, Abraham Maslow published a paper titled A Theory of Human Motivation. It was very basic at first, but in the coming years, he went on to expand on these ideas that were initially introduced, and it kind of evolved over time into what we generally see now, which is this kind of triangle. You may call it a pyramid. I'm going to go ahead and stick with triangle in here. And we go from bottom to top. You know, number one, basic, your physiological needs: air, water, food, shelter, sleep, clothing, reproduction. Basically, like, if you are looking to build yourself up to a truly fulfilling and happy life, this is where you got to start. You need to have kind of a sense of security in your shelter. You need to have food, you need to have water, you need to have all of your essential needs met. Then we can worry about something else. Next, we move on to safety needs: personal security, employment, resources, health, property. So again, if you are, trying to make all these huge changes, you're trying to create the best life possible, we're going to get to a point where you need to make sure that you have friendship and community. But if you don't have a source of income or a way to meet your most basic needs, we got to focus on that first. We get those safety needs out of the way. Then we can move on to love and belonging, friendship, intimacy, family, sense of connection. After we have those basic needs met, we got to get our social needs in place. We have to get those in order and feel good about who we are and our place in the world, which is then going to lead us into esteem, respect, self-esteem, status, recognition, strength, and freedom. This is kind of where you really start to excel. Your basic needs are being met. You've got friends, you've got community, you know where your next paycheck and your next meal are coming from. Now we excel. We shoot for things higher than just getting those basic needs met. And then after you hit that part of the triangle, you move on to the top, which is self-actualization, desire to become the most that one can be. So at this point, you've got everything pretty much worked out. You're stable, you're connected, you've got enough money to do the things that you need, maybe a little bit extra, you're finding joy in your life. What else can I do? How can I give back? How can I make myself excel? How can I bring others up? And it's when you hit that top point that you really can thrive. And so I think part of the problem with Tony's UPW is it's like you're trying to kind of mix all of these things in at once. And like I said, I think huge changes can happen very quickly, but I think it's a little bit more palatable and easy to maintain if you start from the bottom and you work your way up. You get the most important things for you to live out of the way first. With his whole unlimited energy thing, what if you have a health issue that is the reason you're feeling tired and sluggish? We need to figure that out first before we focus on getting the unfair advantage over our competitors. Like, we need to take care of that first and foremost, and then we can move on. But with Tony, it's like you're getting everything and we're wrapping it all in one, and I'm giving it to you, and now your life is different, which is not sustainable and not realistic. Now, this was just an incredibly brief overview. My camera is kind of dying, so I will leave the entire article about this down below. It goes a lot further into it, gives examples, and I think it's just a really great resource if you are looking for a place to start in personal development or goal setting in general. It's great to have big goals, but we have to have a plan of action. We need to be able to break them down into smaller, more palatable things so that way we know we can accomplish one thing at a time and work our way up to those huge dreams, those massive goals, and the things that make us really, really excited and feel like, man, this would just be the most incredible thing if I could accomplish it. You have to start somewhere. That is pretty much all I wanted to go over in this video. I'm very interested to hear your thoughts down below. If you've ever been to a Tony Robbins event, I would love to hear your experience or your thoughts, or if you know anybody who has gone, if they found it beneficial or not. If you would ever consider going to a Tony Robbins event or an event very similar to it, let me know that as well. And while you're doing that, if you would consider liking this video or subscribing to my channel, that would be incredible. And if you have subscribed already, thank you so much. I am so appreciative of you, and I love being able to just sit here, hang out with you, and talk about whatever. Thank you so much for watching. Please be kind to people, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.